Hello, welcome to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. Looking ahead now to Saturday, the 17th of February, as we reach within 4 weeks of the Cheltenham Festival, a little less actually. And there's going to be so much to look forward to in the next month or so as we build up to the greatest show on turf. If you're joining me for the first time, press the subscriber key just below this screen and you'll be able to stay in touch with all my free selections. I've been running this service since July of 2020. We've been showing consistent profits season to season, calendar year to calendar year, and that's by dint of the fact that I tend to look at bigger priced horses, and while we might not always get winners week to week, sometimes it can go a bit longer. Overall, we show very good profits because when they do come in, they come in at good prices. So patience is a virtue. And those of you that are patient have reaped the benefits and will continue to do so. Last week, I gave one selection on what was a fairly quiet racing Saturday. That was Altobelli in the Betfair Hurdle. He didn't run up to expectations, despite being very well backed. He was back down to just 5-1, but never really managed to get into it, and that was a bit disappointing. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case for the two selections I have for you here at Sportsbet on Saturday. Over at our front, my subscriber service at Patreon, I have 4 selections for Saturday, many of them at very, very tasty prices. I'll also have a few for you on Sunday as well. I also give selections midweek when there are horses of interest, and very often I put up 1 or 2 on a Friday as well. And of course, when it comes to the big festivals, I'm there, going through every day of the big meetings and often tipping 4 horses, if not more, at the big festival meeting. So if you want to get involved, you can check out what it's all about, just £25 a month, and that's with no tie-in. And you can join us by pressing the link in the description box just below this screen, and then you'll be able to join all the other members who've been doing so well since that service started back in October 2022. There's a lot to look forward to. It'd be great to have you on board and hopefully taking advantage of some really nice price winners. So 2 selections for you for Saturday, free here at Sportsbet. The first of them at Ascot in the 3 o'clock. It's a 3-mile handicap chase, good to soft ground, spring ground really, in mid-February at Ascot, which is unusual. There are 10 runners, and Vafortino is representing Venetia Williams. Now, this horse has had a good season, made a habit of winning 3-mile handicap chases at this track, scored off 138 in November and then off 142 in December. I think we can draw a line under its last run at Cheltenham because it was 2.5 miles, completely different track going the other way round, the wrong trip, possibly the wrong type of course. It's gone up now to 146, but it still has to be taken seriously because this is a track that Vafortino absolutely loves. So we'll be thereabouts. 3 under through 5. I don't think I've ever been able to say that in my golfing career, such as it is. 3 over after 1. 3 under through 5 for Paul Nicholls. Likeable staying chaser for the McNeil family. He's got top weight at 12 stone and he hasn't won for quite a while. Last time he won was a Grade 2 novice chaser at Warwick more than 2 years ago, but he has run plenty of good races in defeat, and last time out was runner-up in a hot Cheltenham Grade 3 handicap just before Christmas. So he's had a nice break. About 7 weeks, should be fresh and well, and he's only £2 higher. So that's 3 under through 5. John Joe O'Neill's got Ironbridge, who was second in the Welsh Grand National last time out. He was beaten over 30 lengths by the outstanding Nassalam, who absolutely wiped the floor with everything there. But he is down to run his Ironbridge in the Grand National Trial at Haydock, assuming that one goes ahead on this heavy ground. But if the plans change, and sometimes they do, then he may come for this race instead. So keep your eyes out to see whether or not Ironbridge is going to be taking his chance. Very interesting runner is the Harry Fry horse, Revels Hill. He's been off the track since he finished 3rd in the Grade 3 Bet365 Gold Cup, the old Whitbread Gold Cup at Sandown back in April. He was actually 3rd in this very race last year off exactly the same mark. But the lack of a run for me is just a little bit of a concern. I'm wondering if they're teeing him up for a crack at something like the Ultima handicap chase at Cheltenham next month, or indeed he is being spoken of as a possible Grand National contender at Aintree in April. Gary Moore, whose son Jamie announced his retirement this week, and we wish him well. He's got out in one piece. He had some terrible falls in the last few years. He's ridden some great horses, Sire de Grugy, Editor du Gite, and others. Wish him a very happy retirement. And his dad Gary has got Larry running here, a horse who's won twice over the course and distance in the past and was a winner last time out in a lesser race at Plumpton. I think he needs to step it up a gear to win here, to be honest. And that's a comment that also applies to Do Your Job, who won last time at Boxing Day, on Boxing Day at Wetherby for Lucinda Russell, but has now left her yard and joined Charlie Longston, so making his debut for Charlie. My choice, though, is a horse called Shanblue. Shanblue for Dan and Harry Skelton, the brothers. He has raced very sparingly over the last few seasons. He's only completed one race since he finished runner-up to Sam Brown in a Classic Grade 3 handicap chase at the 2022 Aintree Festival 22 months ago. It was, in his time, a very smart chaser, a Grade 1 winning novice chaser, always had bundles of talent, but he's obviously had a number of issues as well in recent years, and he pulled up 3 times in a row over a 12-month period through until December 2023. Now, in between those times, he had some absences due to those injuries. And I'll be honest, I'd just about given up on him as a horse that was a light of former days, as they say. But then he ran at Ascot, his first run back for a while, quite a while, over just 2 miles, 3 furlongs, just before Christmas, and he ran an absolute cracker. He made a bad mistake early on, which you would have thought, given his problems, might have knocked him back and, he might have sulked and given up. But then he came with a dangerous-looking run before 5 out, got outpaced, possibly blew up. And then he stayed on again over a trip too short and was cutting them down in the closing stages. He only failed to win by 3/4 of a length in a driving finish. That signaled to me that he retains most, if not all, of his old ability. And I think that going back up to 3 miles is going to be absolutely perfect for him. He is very well handicapped on his old form. I can see him running a big race. He was 7-1 earlier on this afternoon. He's now down to 6-1. So it's a 6-1 shot for Shanblue. And I do expect him to run really well here for the Skeltons. That is in the 3 o'clock race at Ascot. And then to my second free selection on Saturday, taking you to Haydock, 350, a 3-mile handicap hurdle in heavy ground, 10 runners, so it's going to be a slog. And stamina is what it's all about, especially as this race is later on the card and they'll have already ploughed through it a number of times. The ground could be really cut up. Now, the bookmakers have taken a very definite view on this race. And what the view they've taken is that the younger horses in the race are the ones to have on your side. They may be right, but of course they may. These younger horses are capable of continuing to improve. But very often, mile races are about stamina and strength and proven ability to handle the ground. And those are question marks with 1 or 2 of those that are to the fore in the market. Indeed, they've made the 3 young horses, the 3 shortest priced in the market, and the older, more proven horses are much bigger odds. And I actually think that could provide an opportunity. Maybe I've got it wrong. It has been known to happen. But the favourite is Cuthbert Dibble for Nigel Twiston Davis, clear favourite. And he's trained by a man who knows a stayer when he sees one, doesn't he? He's won the Grand National. He's won loads of big staying chases, Gold Cups, you name it. So this horse, we know, handles the ground. He won on heavy ground over 2 miles, 3 furlongs last time out at Chepstow in a Grade 3 contest. And he's been put up £8, which might not be a harsh rise by any means. Nigel has booked Finn Lambert to claim £5 back, which is going to help his task. The question is he going to stay 3 miles? And they're probably going to go a fair gallop, I think. I think some of the older horses, their connections will be determined to try and exploit any stamina flaws in the younger ones. If he stays, then he could have the class to win. Same comment applies to Punta del Este, trained by Dan Skelton, who had never raced beyond 2 miles until last time out when he sluiced up in heavy ground at Haydock over 2 miles, 3 furlongs. And for that, he's been put up £10. But he's got another 5 furlongs or thereabouts to go this time, so your guess is as good as mine as to whether or not he's going to last home. If he does, obviously he's got a chance. The third favourite is the John Joe O'Neill trained Yes Day, who's a winner of one of his 4 hurdle starts and finished a good 5th in a Grade 2 novice event at Cheltenham on his penultimate start, and that was over 3 miles. And he was possibly a little bit unlucky that day because unusually he lost not 1 but 2 shoes, both of his front shoes. So, a bit like a car running with the 2 front tyres down, that was always going to make his task difficult. But he really did disappoint, I thought, last time out at Catterick, even though it was a shorter trip over 2 miles 3. Sharp track might not have suited him, but it was just seemed to be a run-of-the-mill novice hurdle, but he couldn't win there, so I just got a question mark about him. He makes his handicap debut of 121. And as I say, the rest are older horses who most of them have proved they stayed 3 miles, and many of them have won in the ground. For example, I Love the Nightlife for Joe Tizard. Won over 3 miles, won at Plumpton last time out and has gone up £6. He's also won on soft ground in the past, although he never has actually tackled heavy ground, which can be a new challenge for him. Laura Morgan Cheffois has won 2 of his last 3 starts and gone up a total of £9, in terrific form, and despite knocking on a bit in the veteran stage, cannot be ruled out. And then Jimmy Moffat, the Lake District trainer, who's having a brilliant season. He's got a cracking strike rate. His horse, Our Sam, was a good second over the course and distance last time out, and the unstable conditional jockey has been popped on to claim £10, and I assume she rides him in his work and will know the horse. My selection, though, is a horse that kind of epitomizes everything that the racing section here at Sportsbet TV is all about, because I've always tried to look for horses that I believe are overpriced or have been overlooked for some reason, and very often I have managed to come up trumps. Now, 2 years ago, Foylan, who's now trained by Patrick Neville and is the mount of Charlie Hammond here, Foylan actually won this very race for Dr. Richard Newland. He was bottom weight that day. He came through really heavy ground, and he beat the useful handicap hurdler Mill Green by 2.5 lengths. Mill Green, of course, has finished placed in the last few Potemps finals, so he's a very good staying handicap hurdler. Now, the following season, they tried to make a chaser of Foylan, but it didn't work out. He pulled up first time out, and then he had a rather nasty fall the second time. And after that, Connections decided to move him to join his current yard, that of Patrick Neville, who, of course, has really made his name over the last 12 to 18 months with the Real Whacker, amongst others. Well, Foylan was off for a year prior to running what I thought was a very eye-catching race in a competitive Cheltenham handicap hurdle over 2 miles 5 furlongs on good to soft ground in November. He was right on the heels of the leading bunch in a big field until he got outpaced after his long absence, just after the second last, before they turned in, and he wasn't knocked about after that. Now, on the strength of that, I really did fancy him last time out at Carlisle, going up to 3 miles 1 furlong. The ground wasn't as soft as I would have liked it, but it should have been okay for him. And he was actually travelling quite well in behind the leaders for most of the way. But when he pushed the button and going to the second last, all of a sudden the horse just stopped very, very quickly, eventually finishing a distant 5th. But it's obviously transpired that he must have had a breathing issue that made him stop. And he's had an operation. So I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt for the Carlisle run. Now, Foylan, because of those 2 runs this season, the run at Cheltenham and the run at Carlisle, has now been dropped £6 so far this term for those 2 runs. But he's got his optimum conditions for the first time. 3 miles and heavy ground, that's what he likes. It's also, I think, really significant that Patrick Neville has called on Charlie Hammond to ride this horse, because it will be the first time ever that he's ridden for the stable, and he obviously feels that Charlie Hammond got on well with the horse, and he wants him back on board, back at the scene of that really good victory 2 years ago. So with Hammond on board, and having won the race 2 years ago, I think that the 33-1 that has been offered, including with William Hill, for 4 places each way, I think it looks a sporting bet that this horse can return to a very happy hunting ground and run better than the market believes he will. That, of course, is subject to that breathing operation having worked. And of course, you never actually know. They can be working well at home, but when they're under full pressure in a race, that's when you find out. If it has, 33-1 could be too big. So Foylan is my second selection. A reminder to you that if you want 4 more selections for Saturday, as well as others for Sunday and going forward, at Out in Front, you can check out how to join me and sign up on the link that is in the description box just below this screen. That description box, by the way, has been updated with all my latest stats, profit and loss for this service, as well as a few words about what we've managed to achieve over the years here at Sportsbet. Anyway, as the countdown continues to Cheltenham, I'll leave you for now, and I look forward to seeing you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.